Well, I never was expecting that I would have to talk about this individual again, but Miss Rachel. Miss Rachel. What do we remember her for? Basically saying that, hey, maybe we should not be starving and murdering Palestinian children. And you know what? That's objectively pretty based of her to say this because of the fact that, yeah, let's be honest here, that's pretty fucking true. That children are children; they shouldn't be starved and getting fucking murdered for the express purpose of either gaining more military industrial complex fucking bucks or helping a fucking settler colonial fucking genocide. Thank you, Israel. Very, very cool. And yeah, I don't know. I think that's like pretty simple. But apparently, she wrote on Instagram, and for whatever reason, this is causing a controversy. I mean, the whole initial controversy from the beginning was is also incredibly fucking stupid because of a bunch of like schizophrenic Zionists being like, "No, Miss Rachel's going to kill all of our Jewish babies for supporting Hamas fucking terrorists," even though her take is just like, all the human rights organizations agree what is going on in Gaza is really, really bad, and I just want to help children. It's just like, yeah, I think she just wants to help children, guys. I don't think it's really any more complicated than that. But for the schizophrenics, the freaks that who call themselves Zionists, for them they just want to like. I don't know. They just want to murder a bunch of people. I'm trying to like think of like any other way to put this besides. I think they just want to murder a bunch of people and cause a bunch of suffering. Yeah, I don't know. That's like really about it. Yeah, I don't know. Why would Miss Rachel kill a bunch of Jewish babies? No, no. Why would this children content creator who helps teach children about like basic lessons of like schooling and stuff like that and has like the adulation of children all across the world want to advocate for protecting children? Who knows? But she stirred up some controversy calling out New York Times doing a bunch of fucking lies about Israel fucking Palestine, which is objectively correct. The New York Times was the main outlet that was pushing the 40 babies getting murdered in incubators fucking lie that Hamas did. No, Hamas did not kill 40 babies in fucking incubators. Like, why the fuck are they trotting out that fucking oldie from the fucking Iraq war of babies getting murdered in fucking incubators? Like, did you really think that that was going to work again, New York Times, for some fucking reason? Of course, all based off of Israeli fucking military sources, of course. And we all know how trustworthy those motherfuckers are. As in, not at all. Of course, I'm being a little facetious. So, as we, broadly speaking, we all know, nothing that Israel says in terms of this war should be trusted. Like, for fuck's sake, they literally violated the ceasefire about a week and a half after it went into fucking place. And arguably also the day it went into place because of the fact that they were still not allowing in the up to 600 aid trucks necessary to bring in food and aid for the fucking Palestinian people. They were just allowing, I think, about like a third of what was necessary, about like 200 trucks a day instead, and not the 600, violating the fucking agreement. So again, like I said before, you can't trust or believe anything that comes out of the Israelis' fucking mouths or any of the mouthpieces that defended them. Looking at you, New York Times. You can't trust anything that comes out of these motherfuckers' mouths because they have consistently fucking lied on every fucking instance. And do you really trust the organization in the state who bombs journalists, bombs aid workers, bombs civilians, does triple taps on fucking refugee camps? Do you really fucking trust those motherfuckers to be honest or truthful or anything? And also the New York Times, that fucking mouthpiece that's willing to defend all of those actions, but eventually, like, somewhat tepidly come around to saying, like, yeah, I think Israel's actually kind of bad after every indicator and all the polling said amongst the Democratic fucking base that none of them fucking approves of any of the fucking actions the IDF is currently taking. Tepidly coming around to just saying like, yeah, honestly, maybe they are actually kind of bad, and never basing anything off of anything that the human rights organizations have said. No. Oh, okay, that's cool. Thank you, New York Times, and of course, based of Miss Rachel to call out these fucking goddamn shills. What do we have here? There's a leaked internal memo. Oh, Right. There was a leaked internal memo that released recently saying that the journalists were told from on high in the upper echelons of the New York Times to essentially downplay the happenings of the fucking ground in terms of the fucking genocide. Yeah, they were downplaying the fucking genocide the whole fucking goddamn time. So that's pretty cool and that's great. And they should be called out for this fucking behavior because what they are doing is inherently fucking abhorrent. But what do we have here?
I don't think we spend enough time highlighting stories of people who are awesome. So today, the children's entertainer
Real?
Miss Rachel is receiving a lot of praise and some criticism for her comments about the New York Times. So in this video, I'm going to go over those comments and just what's been going on with Miss Rachel, how incredible she has been over the past few years in standing up for the human rights of Palestinians in a space that you would not necessarily expect to see any sort of activism or,
True.
I guess you could argue, political opinions. Though I would also argue against myself here, saying that standing up for human rights should not be viewed as a political opinion. It should simply be viewed as humane empathy.
This is a great fucking point here by David Dole, because the fact that there is an argument for fucking human rights, that there's a debate on stuff like queer rights, trans rights, and also like climate change and stuff like that. All things which have been provably proven to be not only existent but also to be correct things to support and uphold and also fight for is genuinely insane and should pretty much tell you everything about just how fucking stupid and ridiculous the laissez-faire nature of the First Amendment within the United States of America sort of exists. The fact that there are still debates on these fucking topics, generally speaking, should pretty much show to you just how ridiculously fucking abhorrent the current sort of status quo within the United States, generally speaking, is. It's fucking insane to me. Yeah, human rights, but you're being too political, bro. Talk about, I don't know, wanting to make sure that babies don't get bombed into fucking mulch, don't get fucking turned into paste or something. No, that's too political, bro. Like, okay, bro, nice meme.
And that's what Miss Rachel has been displaying. So this piece from The Guardian from back in June, Miss Rachel says she'll risk her career to advocate for children in Gaza. And of course, she has faced endless backlash from the right wing, including a pro-Israel group, which we'll get to later on because it's going to come into the story, urged the U.S. attorney.
Yeah, these, again, collection of complete schizophrenics and fucking freaks. I think it's, Stop Anti-Semitism or whatever. These Zionist fucking freaks, these charlatans, these fucking liars who, honestly, should not be treated as a fucking advocacy for Jewish people because, let's be quite honest here. They are wholeheartedly willing to just, I don't know, tank human rights and support the current fucking Holocaust of our fucking time. And for what exactly? I don't know. Making sure that the settler colonial project of fucking Israel is successful. Again, nothing from these groups like Stop Anti-Semitism, who actually help perpetrate more and more fucking anti-Semitism around the fucking globe, should be treated fucking seriously. These people are all fucking monsters.
Attorney General to investigate her over her messaging about children suffering in Gaza, and she's been criticized, as I said, by right-wing media and commentators. The bullying has been endless. She discussed that in May 2024, saying she had faced bullying after launching a fundraiser for children in Gaza, Sudan, Ukraine, and then...
Yeah, I've covered all this fucking bullshit as well. The fact that people are bullying her for basically just saying, like, you know, honestly, I don't think children should be starved, is genuinely fucking insane.
Republic of the Congo. She also posted this, which was really cool. This is a few months ago, saying to anyone asking to work with me who hasn't spoken out about Gaza, thank you for the request. I'm not comfortable working with anyone who hasn't spoken out about Gaza. Much love and God bless. It is so rare to find people in positions like this that, political or not in terms of the position, in terms of the platform, it's rare to find people like this who are willing to take a stand and really advocate for an issue in a way that can financially damage them if they don't accept certain, whether it's sponsorships or various business dealings, because those individuals will not accept I want to say political position, but again, not a political position, just a position of reality, the reality of what's been going on. And it's good to see her take that kind of stand. She also had on Rahaf. This is a 3-year-old double amputee from Gaza who lost her legs in an Israeli airstrike that she did a video with. My last video from a few months ago on Miss Rachel discussed this. I'll link to this interview with Democracy Now! Below the video as well. It's worth a watch. But here is the recent
Yeah, she did like an interview with Democracy Now! Talking about how, you know, you should advocate for fucking Palestinian rights, because if you're not for the rights, if you are, you know, you want to help children in any way, shape, or form that you can, you should also, advocate for all of the rights of all children all across the world if you want to be fucking consistent in all of this. And how she's generally surprised and just has very little understanding for exactly why it is the case that the exception has to be made for fucking Palestinian children. Okay, this is just for you, Miss Rachel. Okay, just for you, bud. It's because of complex interests that the United States have within the region for the maintenance of not only the settler colony of Israel within that sort of region, that being the Middle East, of course, but also for military industrial complex ties, intelligence ties, as well as having a testing ground for new fucking military technology. It's all about fucking money and information for these people at the end of the day. Like, that's what it ultimately all boils down to.
Controversy. But from what I've seen, a lot of people are praising her over this. I'm unsubscribing from the New York Times because of its biased and dehumanizing coverage of Palestinians and Palestine and its failure to uphold journalistic integrity. So that was a couple days ago. She followed up with a few more details, saying a leaked internal memo from the New York Times revealed that editors instructed journalists covering Gaza to avoid or strictly limit certain words and phrases. Words like slaughter, massacre, and carnage were among those flagged. The document also advised journalists to avoid terms such as genocide, ethnic cleansing, occupied territory, and Palestine, except in narrow legal or historical context. It discouraged describing Gaza's refugee camps as such, suggesting they be referred to as neighborhoods instead. So,
genuinely fucking insane, because we all know that Israel has been consistently doing fucking not double taps but triple taps of fucking refugee camps. Consistently have been just attacking and just slaughtering not only women but children, the elderly, just going after basically, if they're Palestinian, if they have fucking brown skin, in the mind of the Israeli, then you're a fucking target. They think that you're just fucking Hamas because they do the whole conflationary bit, because for them it's about one thing and one thing only: the fucking ethnic cleansing of Palestinians, because they want to just reoccupy the fucking Gaza Strip like they did back in 06. That's all there is to it.
this is actually from a piece in The Intercept from April of last year, discussing this sort of internal directive. And I want to be clear, it's not just New York Times. I'm going to get to a couple examples from Canada where this similar thing has also been going on. But, you know, if you noticed, very skewed coverage, and I'm sure you did over the past few years, about the genocide that's been happening. The difference in language used when a Palestinian is a victim versus when an Israeli is a victim is stark. So the Intercept goes on.
Dude, and how they consistently talk about how this is a war, as if these are two evenly matched fucking belligerents that are currently fighting with one another, which is why I very often, when I say that this is a war, I often use air quotations around that, because just like, dude, the fight that's essentially going on here is between a bunch of fucking impetuous, undisciplined fucking militants that shoot bottle rockets every now and again into Israel, that the Israelis helped fucking provide the funding and equipment for by funneling money to the Qataris, so that Benjamin Netanyahu can help justify his position in fucking power. You know, plenty of fucking documentation reporting on that. But also with the sort of highly advanced, militarized, with a ton of fucking U.S. tech Israelis. I'm supposed to believe that those two sides are equal. Like, literally, the terrorists coming in with fucking hang gliders and the dudes with fucking F-35 jets. Like, okay, yeah, dude, this is totally a very, very equal fucking conflict, bro. Nice meme.
Right here. Their analysis showed that the major newspapers reserved terms like slaughter, massacre, and horrific almost exclusively for Israeli civilians killed by Palestinians, rather than for Palestinian civilians killed by Israeli attacks. The analysis found that as of November 24, the New York Times had described Israeli deaths as a massacre on 53 occasions, and those of Palestinians just once. The ratio for the use of slaughter was 22 to 1, even as the documented number of Palestinians killed climbed to around 15,000. Of course, it's gotten much worse. But this is the kind of language that was used.
It doesn't surprise me, right? Like, it's all about, it's the concept of just manufacturing fucking consent. You know, the Tel Aviv Times over here just want to manufacture consent for the Israelis to continue with the slaughter and the ethnic cleansing of fucking Palestinians within the region. That's why they use fucking language like this. It's all about manufacturing and dehumanizing the other fucking side, so then the pill of genocide is more easily swallowable. Consistently with these motherfuckers. Demons. The people at the New York Times are demons.
Used to try and push a certain narrative. The Times does not characterize Israel's repeated attacks on Palestinian civilians as terrorism, even when civilians have been targeted. This is also true of Israel's assaults on protected civilian sites, including hospitals. This also gets to how we have to analyze it, how we view things internally, based on what we read. Because it's very normal for people to think that an attack done by a government is not a terrorist attack, even if that attack is killing civilians. Because a government is doing it, it's viewed differently, and it shouldn't be.
That's true.
what the Israeli government have been committing, and not just during the genocide, but also
Like, there's a reason why people are calling the state of Israel a collection of fucking terrorists. Because for them, they have a political goal in mind, and that is the ethnic cleansing of the fucking Palestinian people for the express purpose of colonizing the rest of the fucking land. Not only that of the Gaza Strip, but also the fucking West Bank. They want all of the fucking territory. They are terrorists by definition. Not to mention how they will only explicitly fucking target civilians in the express purpose of helping further their political fucking ideology. This is terrorism by definition. Simply put, the IDF are just terrorists. There's no other fucking way to fucking debate it. Like, you can, like, cope, seethe, and mauled about it, fucking Zionists, but what you are supporting is, honestly, something that is 10 times worse than fucking ISIS, because, let's be honest here, the Israelis have also done a lot of the exact same torturous fucking techniques and methods as ISIS has. No fucking difference between those two fucking groups. I see them as exactly the fucking same.
talking apartheid more broadly. These are the acts of terrorists, but it's terrorism under the guise of a government. Now, it is the government, but just because it is the government does not mean that we shouldn't be able to categorize it as the terrorism that it is. This also gets to, as I was saying, Canada. So The Breach has a couple of great pieces on this. The Maple also done some great reporting on this. This is from November a couple years ago. CTV forbids use of Palestine, suppresses critical stories about Israel. So I will link this below. There's another one that they ran, though, a couple years later. National Post quietly rewrote wire stories to push pro-Israel narrative. Analysis finds.
Oh yeah, we're not much better up here in fucking Canada, despite the fact that I think it's about 60+% of people who sympathize with the Palestinians in comparison to that of the Israelis. We're not much better up here. Although, honestly, like, all of our public media will, I think, report more honestly about this in comparison. CTV is a private media institution within Canada.
So this is just incredible, but not surprising. Terms such as Palestinian quote-unquote militants or fighters replaced with terrorists, pro-Palestine changed to anti-Israel, occupied Palestinian territory or occupied West Bank removed or substituted with disputed territory, allegedly inserted cast doubt on documented Israeli war crimes and Palestinian narratives. A clear directive to try and skew the reader a certain way. View certain deaths as not the same as others. Miss Rachel followed up her previous Instagram post with this. Real question from the New York Times for my interview. Last month you condemned blocking food and water to children. There are some who argue that accusing Israel of doing this, as well as citing certain casualty numbers, amounts to misinformation. How would you respond? Before we even get to her response.
That's a really good point there, but I think David Dole is about to say the same thing that I am. The current ceasefire that is in place right now, Israel has not been fucking following it. About 600 trucks are expected to be going in every single day to bring aid to the Palestinians, and I think not even a fucking third of that is being currently let in by the Israelis. So again, they are doing this for the express purpose of trying to starve out and continue the fucking ethnic cleansing of Palestinians within their fucking territory. That's all that it is with these motherfuckers. They just want to kill all of them and take the territory for themselves consistently.
Look at how this question is phrased and loaded. It should be on the New York Times to fact check, to not give light to things that aren't true, to try and make it seem like there's an equal argument on both sides when there isn't a both sides, when there's simply fact and fiction. That is on the New York Times to do that. It is not on the person you're interviewing to dispel bullshit narratives. It is on you, the journalist, to do that. But they're presenting this question as if this is an opinion that is worth valuing, when it simply is not. Now her response to that was,
dude, I sympathize with this with David Dole and Miss Rachel here so fucking much. The amount of stupid troglodytic motherfuckers who constantly come into my fucking goddamn comments and say, like, you need to provide evidence for a lot of the claims that you made in this video, for this, like, I don't know, whatever the fuck thing that you're saying here. It's just like, why? Why do I have to provide evidence for this particular thing? I already fucking did that when I made this particular argument. I made the fucking argument, and your counters just say, like, oh, provide evidence. It's just like, bro, what do you mean? You're having a fucking dispute to my fucking claim. If you are having a problem with a claim that I am making, the onus is on you to provide evidence against my fucking claim. Like, I'm trying to have an argument here, not provide evidence for any of my fucking goddamn claims or fucking arguments that I know are based in truth. And broadly speaking, a lot of people in my audience also acknowledge that it is the fucking goddamn truth. Like, what the fuck do you have, what do you mean by any of that bullshit? Like, it's so stupid. And even if you provide evidence, For any of your fucking goddamn claims or arguments or whatever. It doesn't fucking matter with these people. Like, they'll still try to cast and throw wind into those claims anyways. It doesn't fucking matter. And they will just say a bunch of bullshit that everyone knows is fucking wrong. But since they are a collection of complete troglodytes and morons, and they are significantly louder than you, they end up looking right in that particular instance because there's a lot more of them than there are of you. It's just like, okay, bro, like, nice fucking meme. You've literally provided zero evidence for any of your counterclaims to the argument that I am laying out, which you're supposed to provide evidence for any counterclaims that you have. If you want to prove my fucking particular claim wrong, that's how that's how this works. But for any of these motherfuckers, they don't give a shit about any of that, because it's all about throwing doubt into the wind and just throwing as much bullshit at the fucking wall to see what fucking sticks. Like, I empathize this completely. It is not up to Miss Rachel to provide any evidence for the claims that are going on in terms of what Israel is doing. We already know what Israel is up to. They literally post TikToks about it, for fuck's sake, which is why I say, hello, Israel, this is your lawyer speaking. You guys should keep posting TikToks of you running around in Palestinian neighborhoods in Merkava tanks, just randomly shooting puck shots off in random fucking apartment buildings. This is going to make you guys look really, really good in the inevitable ICC cases that you guys are going to have to fucking deal with. So it's just like, okay, bro, like, yeah, man, it's the onus is on Miss Rachel to provide evidence for all of her fucking goddamn claims when we already know there's, broadly speaking, tons of reporting that's been done and human rights organizations that have said all of this different stuff, affirming Miss Rachel's fucking goddamn claims, or any of my claims, or David Dole's fucking claims. Like, it's completely fucking nonsensical.
I take my work with children and the way I utilize my platform very seriously. That is why I turn to the expertise of entities like the United Nations, as well as respected human rights organizations, including Israeli organizations and research and reporting from outlets like Haaretz and the New York Times.
Excuse me, Miss Rachel, that's a logical fallacy. You're doing an appeal to authority. You can't do that. I fucking hate these motherfuckers, dude.
So, this is what the New York Times should be doing. It's looking at what the UN is saying, what human rights organizations are saying, including ones within Israel, like B'Tselem, what they're saying. Their acknowledgement of the reality on the ground. Yet they're putting it to Miss Rachel to dispel the bullshit. So this is the New York Times piece from back in May on Miss Rachel. Why top celebrity Miss Rachel waded into the Gaza debate. Facing criticism, Rachel Accurso defends making the plight of children in Gaza a primary focus of her social media feeds. Now, something incredible about this piece is their attempt to highlight criticisms of her as legitimate when they simply are not. And they
exactly. The schizophrenia and bullshit that came out of that Stop Anti-Semitism account, or whatever the fuck, talking about Miss Rachel is just non-fucking sensical. Literally, all Miss Rachel said was that we should provide help for the fucking Palestinian kids that are getting bombed and starved out by the Israelis, which is a fact. That was a thing that was fucking happening. But, you know, all these, like, schizophrenics will just come out of the woodwork, be like, you say this about Palestinian kids, but not about Jewish kids who got fucking kidnapped by Hamas. It's just like, that's like, brother, that's not even what the argument is about. Like, why are you fucking making this, moving the goalposts to that in particular? That's fucking nonsensical. This is irrelevant to the current fucking position. Incredible. I believe so. I think Hassan last year came in second, and who came in first, I think, that year was, Candace Owens or something. So any of these motherfuckers who talk about fucking anti-Semitism are wholeheartedly okay with as much anti-Semitism being perpetrated within the United States of America and across the fucking world as a justification for more Jews moving to the fucking to Israel and to the Holy Land for the express purpose of continuing the fucking ethnic cleansing. So again, the Zionists in reality, and Theodore Herschel laid this out when he first initially talked about fucking Zionism, that all these motherfuckers are totally okay and happy with fucking anti-Semites because that means more Jewish people are going to be moving to Israel to continue with the colonial project, because this has always been an ideology that is about ethnic cleansing and settler fucking colonialism. Always.
Clearly are not, based on the information given by New York Times in the piece about those criticisms. So, case in point, they write here, last month, the advocacy group Stop Anti-Semitism labeled Accurso the anti-Semite of the week, and the New York Post reported
it's Stop Anti-Semitism. Okay, yeah, okay, cool.
A letter urging Attorney General Pam Bondi to investigate whether Accurso is receiving funding to further Hamas' agenda. And then they move on. Without telling you, this group simply exist to defend the Israeli government. It's not about stopping anti-Semitism.
True.
And they also don't give the context that Attorney General Pam Bondi is an insane person. And asking the Trump administration to investigate Miss Rachel is an absolutely insane thing to do. So again, giving space.
I've completely forgot about the fact that they were asking the Attorney General to investigate fucking Miss Rachel because of that. Genuinely fucking insane. Like, what crime did she fucking even commit there that warrants a federal fucking investigation? What, advocating for Palestinian kids to not get bombed? Damn, I thought we cared about the First Amendment, stop anti-Semitism. Huh? Guess not.
To these completely baseless accusations. Now, Miss Rachel goes on to say things that I think are so obvious, but oddly need to be said in the face of a website like the New York Times. Normal and just being a good person. Wanting kids to not be killed. Wanting kids to not lose limbs. Wanting kids to have food. Wanting kids to have homes. Wanting kids to go to school. Not normal and absurd. Accusing people of being anti-Semitic or paid by Hamas because they want these basic human rights for kids and people. Now, all this, of course, obvious, I would hope to most of you. One thing you may be wondering is, why is this just coming out now? When the interview was a few months ago, the report about the New York Times in The Intercept was a year ago. I think, look, I don't know. I think it may have something to do.
I feel like she probably didn't know. That's my feeling. She might not have known about this leaked internal memo, and someone must have told her about it recently. Like, hey, have you seen this Intercept article, for example, or some shit? It doesn't have to necessarily be from Jeremy Scahill and Ryan Grimm, but yeah, this has been a known thing that the New York Times will just do anything possible to just launder the reputation of the state of fucking Israel consistently, and that they are fucking liars about this whole issue.
With this recent letter. So, from Common Dreams here, 300 plus writers boycott New York Times opinion pages over shameful anti-Palestinian Gaza coverage. So, it's possible Miss Rachel just was not all that tuned into what New York Times had been writing about Palestinians and about the Israeli government, and is now more aware of that because of this letter and more coverage of what the New York Times has been writing. So, as Common Dreams writes here, because you also may be wondering, what does it matter what the New York Times says? It actually incredibly does matter, even if it may not matter to you or me.
Like, again, yeah, like, it does very much so matter what the New York Times said. Again, the lie about babies being cooked in like incubators or whatever by a bunch of Hamas fighters, that was perpetrated by the New York Times and repeated by President Joe fucking Biden. He repeated that fucking lie at a State of the Union address. So, yeah, kind of important to pay attention to what these fucking mainstream outlets say sometimes in terms of their fucking objective lies.
It actually very much does. As Common Dreams writes here, the U.S. government's continued support for Israel, they suggested, would likely not have been possible without the New York Times. Quote, there is no American media institution more influential than the New York Times, reads the letter. Editors and producers in newsrooms across the West take cues from its coverage. It uniquely shapes political consensus on U.S. foreign policy, and it is widely considered the paper of record in the U.S. The politicians who vote to ship 500-pound bombs to Israel do not read emails from their constituents. They read the Times. So,
yep, 1,000 fucking percent. All these motherfuckers, either that or they listen to fucking mainstream news. Part of the reason for as to why these people are incredibly fucking out of touch elitists, because they listen to fucking corporate media and corporate fucking outlets, which is something that the corporations have recognized. So they buy out all these fucking institutions in order, and the rich, generally speaking, buy out all these fucking institutions because they know that they're going to have the ears of the politicians listening to their programs, and they can basically use that as a way to gain sort of beneficial fucking coverage for a lot of the corporate fucking bullshit that they push for, in order to have that translate to beneficial fucking legislation for themselves. Again, it's all a fucking corporatocracy for these motherfuckers.
It's not about how many people read the New York Times, it's about who reads the New York Times. That is why it is incredibly influential. That is why it's important to have this sort of criticism of it, where you have 300+ writers come out against, where you have Miss Rachel, who has a platform that goes beyond just politics and news, discussing this. So it helps to permeate the reality that most people...
Like, most fucking normie parents all know of Miss Rachel because all their kids like Miss Rachel. Like, so she has pull, she has fucking sway. A lot of those New York Times readers, more than likely, have kids who listen to Miss Rachel.
Are living in, and now hopefully are made more aware of how the New York Times has potentially shaped their opinion on what's been going on because of how they've been writing these stories. Last thing I want to end on here is just highlighting how awesome it is to see Miss Rachel as one of the Women of the Year for Glamour magazine. So they went on to write here, she redefined children's media by centering empathy. Now she's channeling that same ethos into activism. And I'm going to end on here, just in case you did not see this, a clip of her accepting the award, or I guess one of the awards at the Glamour Women of the Year Awards, and it's fantastic.
Tonight, I'm wearing this beautiful dress that has art from kids in Gaza, and these kids are just amazing. They're so thoughtful and so brilliant. And I know all their names and stories: Luna and Ahmed, Rama, Rana. I'm so proud of you. I'm so honored to wear your artwork. Rana made this beautiful drawing. She lost both of her sisters in the genocide. She lost her 9-month-old sister, Haya, in her arms in an airstrike. Her older sister was killed the next month.
Jesus Christ.
I want to end with her words because they're more important than mine. Rana wanted to say, I want to tell the world that my sisters are not numbers. They are moons. They are like the stars. They shine and sparkle.
If you enjoyed
demonic fucking entity, the state of fucking Israel. I don't think there's really another way to say this. And the fact that this has to be a fucking debate and an argument at all whatsoever pretty much should just lay threadbare the main fucking problems with the United States of America. The fact that any of this shit has to be a fucking debate to begin with, when all the evidence is already there is no debate to be had, pretty much just talks and should say to you about the complete fucking corporate control that currently exists within the United States of America, and how this is something that has to be actively fought against under every fucking circumstance, and that these motherfuckers should not be allowed to get away with just outright fucking lying about a fucking ethnic cleansing. All I have to say is the New York Times should be subjected to thousands upon thousands of years of pain and of suffering for the fact that they were just willing to launder the reputation of the modern day Hitler of our time, that being Benjamin Netanyahu. Don't think there's really much else to say besides that.